Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. My name is Barry Suttles, PhD student in American history and classical criminology, specifically in the 1920s. Now, I'm going to tell you about the 1920s. They were a turbulent era, marked by post-war exuberance and optimism, which culminated in the widespread use of credit, borrowing in the stock market, and of course, with the advent of radio, a new mass culture marked by changes in music and fashion felt all around the country. Speaking of fashion, I have an inside man on the job, Albert Johnson, here to tell us all about fashion from the 1920s.
Fashion. Things about fashion in the 1920s.
Let's start off with the fashion of the woman. The most revolutionary trend was the bob or bob haircut, in which women would have their haircut extremely short as to fit under a hat. One of the most popular at the time was the cloche. As a result of these new dances, such as the Charleston, there was a need for a new type of dress that allowed for better movement. Skirts became much shorter and often had a slit or pleat, and were lower waisted to allow further movement. The new woman that came as a result of these changes in fashion was nicknamed the flapper girl. Compared to the 1910s, hair and dresses were much shorter, and clothing was much more scandalous. Now for men. Men typically wore high-waisted short jackets that were buttoned up to the very top, often with a belt. Trousers were worn, and at the beginning of the decade they were tight-fitting and much shorter. Around 1925, the popular style shifted to fit loose-fitting and longer trousers, known as Oxford bags. Jackets had loose sleeves that tapered off at the end, or a double-breasted vest. Compared to the 1910s, men's fashion became less formal. Men favored the short jackets with 2 or 3 buttons rather than jackets with long tailcoats.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. Now that we've learned about the fashion of the decade, we're going to learn a bit about the entertainment and music of the time period. From my consultant, Jose Dominguez. I'm Jose Dominguez, and I am a professional at talking about things that I know nothing about. The first of these things, sports. Now, the biggest, most popular sport at this time was baseball. Baseball became known as America's pastime. It was everywhere. It was iconic. It was huge. Baseball. We have managed to catch some real-life baseball on the field. Welcome to the World Final Stanley Bowl for the Lombardi Cup. Begin.
24601 Delta Echo. Hi.
Jose Dominguez back again to talk about another favorite pastime. Gambling.
During the 1920s, there was a little bit of legal gambling, although the majority of gambling was illegal and took place in speakeasies, underground bars that sold illegal alcohol. The perfect setting for something like this video to take place. There was a degree of tolerance for illegal gambling, however only because they were usually run by mobs, and the mobs were able to often bribe police officers into compliance because of the immense corruption of the time. Most gambling was peaceful and an enjoyable way to pass the time, and during illegal alcohol in the process.
Queen Ha.
Royal flush.
What old spades, you moron?
Yeah, they are.
Sometimes it got violent.
Those aren't all spades.
Jose Dominguez back once more to talk about music in the 1920s. In the radio, it was played.
Vladimir, get the boom out of the shot.
I'm sorry, comrade.
Radio, first invented in 1904, saw a huge increase in use during the 1920s and became widespread. Radio helped to form the new mass culture in the 1920s because everyone was listening to the same talk show hosts, the same music, on the same channels. In the 1920s, jazz became the new popular music style, as it was upbeat and exciting to match the party lifestyle of the time. It was often called scandalous and risky by the older generations, but found mass appeal from the younger generations. The song that we picked to represent the music of this decade is The Saints Go Marching In by Louis Armstrong. We picked this song because it is a quintessential 1920s style before the popular style shifted to big band in the 1930s and 40s. It is upbeat, catchy, and still iconic today.
Folks, everybody sing. Now when the saints go marching in. Now when the saints go marching in. Yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Sing it again. Now when the saints marching in. Now when the saints go marching in. Yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Ah, y'all sing pretty out there. Show daring, boy.
Oh, hello there. Didn't see you there. Very Subtle's back again. This time, I'm going to introduce someone who is an expert on news stories. Oh. Unfortunately, our normal expert cannot be in today, so we are looking for a replacement as we speak. I'll get back to you when we find one.
Room service. Hello, my name is Vladimir Kreshnov, and I have a KGB, a PhD in American history in the 1920s, and I'm going to tell you about some of the major news stories of the 1920s.
The 18th Amendment, passed in 1919, prohibited the manufacture, distribution, and sale of alcohol. This was due to the widespread temperance movement of the time. However, it was very difficult to enforce and really just led to an increase in illegal activities and gang violence. Due to this, there was a growing popular dissent for the 18th Amendment, and it was repealed in 1933 with the passage of the 21st Amendment. As I mentioned earlier, the 18th Amendment led to a significant increase in organized crime. One of the biggest public faces of this is Al Capone. Now, Al Capone was a huge public enemy. He worked for his boss, Johnny Torrio, who eventually, after almost being killed by a rival gang, gave Al Capone a bootlegging service. And now Al Capone used a lot of the money from this bootlegging service to buy out the government, the cops of Chicago. Now, eventually, all of his crime caught up to him when he was arrested for tax evasion and spent 11 years in jail. He came out and retired in a mansion in Florida.
The American stock market experienced great growth During-
Economic growth.
Economic growth during the 1920s until October 29th, 1929. You see, a lot of people put a lot of money into the bubble of a stock market, right? And on 1929, October 29th, it bursted like a bubble.
It's called Black Friday.
Black Friday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Black Tuesday. Yeah. And you see, a lot of people lost a lot of money, and this made them sad. Because without money, people are poor.
Stocks are up significantly this quarter.
All right, good.
Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. With the 19th Amendment, women gained the right to vote.
Yay!
The Teapot Dome scandal was a bribery incident that happened from 1921 to 1924 under Warren G. Harding. One of the cabinet members leased out government land, some of the Navy petroleum reserves at Teapot Dome, hence the name, to private oil companies, and was convicted of accepting bribes. He was the first cabinet member to ever go to prison, and at the point, it was widely regarded as the worst scandal that had ever happened within the U.S. government.
What's all that again?
KGB, open up!
That's all, folks.
Yahoo!